Joining me today on Acumen is Simon Leslie, CEO of Inc., a global travel media firm he founded in 1994, which reaches hundreds of millions of travelers every year through in-flight magazines, video content, targeted advertising, and more. Almost a year ago, Simon published his first book, There's No F in Sales, with all the profits going to charity. This is a goldmine that almost any business leader should read. It speaks about how he built one of the greatest media sales organizations on the planet, a company that's empowered and inspired a generation of salespeople. Simon hiked a double marathon across the Sahara Desert, pushing ahead even when the medics told him to stop. He's climbed Kilimanjaro, ran marathons, triathlons, and even half Ironman. And that's not even half of what I could tell you about him, but let's jump straight in. Simon, thank you for joining me in the studio today. Tell me, why is it that you put so much emphasis on sales in your business and describe your business as a sales business?
Nothing happens until someone sells something. And you can have the greatest business in the world, and we've seen a lot of them come and go over the years. But until somebody actually sells something, money changes hands, nothing's going to happen. So a lot of people say, I'm not in sales, I don't like sales, or I did sales when I was at university. Everything is a sale. Every negotiation with your girlfriend, boyfriend, mum, dad, with your employer, you want a pay rise, that is a sale. And it's the best salespeople get the best results and have the best life.
You speak in the book about the certain stigma that exists around sales. You say most people are embarrassed to say they're in sales. So why is that, and how do you propose we can change it?
Well, I was told the CEO of Shell has a salesman on his business card, not CEO. And I've always loved that story. And I think that too many people want to give themselves fancy titles, and they're in business development, or they're in corporate. I don't know, they come up with all these fancy names, and I'm like, you're a salesman. Just tell people what you do. When people phone up and say, you trying to sell me something? I say, yes, I am. I'm trying to help your business grow. I'm trying to do something, I'm doing something that's going to change your business. And I think as soon as people get away from that fear, I think being able to sell is a superpower.
Okay. And you speak a lot about how you've trained salespeople and how you build salespeople. But is there really a future in the SDR AE model of, calling people up and just trying to get a decision maker on the phone?
It's a superpower. And so few people can do it, and so few people want to do it, and so few people will do it in the future, because everyone's hiding behind their email, WhatsApp, whatever it is. Pick up the phone, speak to somebody.
Is it something you can learn?
Of course. It comes with, it's like any habit. It just takes time. You can have all the dreams and goals and aspirations in the world, but unless you've got the underlying habits and belief system in you, it's just a list.
And when it gets tough with sales, when you're calling, you've had a lot of rejections, and it goes on, and you just feel like everyone's saying no. How did you over the years get up in the morning the next day and pick up the phone again with that same drive in your voice?
I think if you enjoy what you do, that becomes easier. And everyone uses this word rejection. And I stopped one day and I said to, I think it was in Singapore, and I said, who rejected you? And they said, well, the client doesn't want to buy. I said, tell me how they rejected you. Did they say, you are a horrible person, I don't want to deal with you? No, they just said they haven't got a budget. I said, well, that's not a rejection, that's an objection. And there's a big difference between a rejection and an objection. And people think they're being rejected, but actually they're just being objected. They're actually buying signals. They're not rejections. They're saying to you, I like what you got to say, but you haven't convinced me enough that I want to spend the money with you yet.
So how would you propose people overcome objections as a general rule? Is it about twisting it? Is it about coming straight back, getting around it? Because a lot of people recommend different approaches to overcoming objections.
It's asking questions. The more questions you ask, the more objections you'll uncover. And my rule of thumb is the first, second, and sometimes even the third objection are not real. They're just something to throw you off the scent. The real objection is when you really probe and really dig deep, you'll find out what the real objection is. And normally it's two things: it's timing and money, or the wrong product.
Time and money. You could say that in times like now, we're recording this in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic. It's hard for a lot of people. And you've spoken in the book about how you've been through previous recessions and previous hits to the travel industry in particular. I don't know if any of them were as big a hit to travel as this current situation we're in. But you've somehow always picked up and gone through it. So for other business leaders who maybe this is their first crisis, what can you tell them? How did you get through the last ones? How are you pushing through this one? And how would you advise they do the same?
A lot of soul searching. The interesting thing is, we had a board meeting yesterday, and when I wrote the book, I didn't think the title would be so prevalent so quickly. We've had no sales for 24 weeks. I actually liken this to 9/11, 2008, 2012, and our own crisis in 2015, all added together, and this is worse. So this is not like any of the other ones. This is a combination of all of them. So I took a lot of learns from each of those, but we've never had a situation where people didn't fly or people didn't travel. This is the first time where our planes have been grounded, our audience we're still sitting at home and not sitting on an aeroplane or on a beach. So we really had to rethink what we're going to do. And we've bought a business. We're in the process of maybe buying 2 more. And we're transitioning from, let's say, old media to new media. But we're still with the theme of travel. I want to be the Amazon of travel. I want to be able to offer every brand an opportunity to reach travellers at every point of their journey, and that's what's important. Getting back to the question, my advice is just do what's right for the long term. Don't worry about short-term pain or what are you going to do now. Actually, the government's been really supportive through this. There has been money available for people. No one can take you to court. No one can sue you. Stop worrying about things that might go wrong and start thinking about things that could go right. There are so many variables right now, and we're only in the, I was going to do an American term, but we're in the first quarter of a 4-quarter game, because at the minute everything's being underpinned by the furlough money. Companies can still carry on trading. Once that all starts to drift off, you're going to start seeing lots more redundancies. I think as a young person today, it's going to change now for the first time, and certainly in the last decade, where for every job you go for, there's going to be 50, 60 people going for that same job. And I think it's going to be much harder to find the role you want. And I think that people are going to, once upon a time they come in, they go, I don't like it, I'm going to go somewhere else, I'll get another job in a week's time. Those days are going to be a lot harder. And I think for employers, they'll have a lot more choice of who they want to employ.
There's a lot in that I want to pick up on. You just gave so many things, but starting with the last one. So for a young person, maybe it's a graduate, maybe it's someone who's been made redundant from a scheme or from a job that they had. How can we stand out in this oversaturated market where there's such high supply and not enough demand for skilled jobs? You see people often employ gimmicks or coffee cup CVs and video CVs and all these different things. Does that work? Do you want to see a plain A4 standard CV? What does it for you?
Me, I want someone to phone me up and hound me and email me and LinkedIn me and do whatever they need to do to get my attention.
And if someone were to say to you, oh, but I wouldn't like that, or I wouldn't want to annoy him, I wouldn't want to pester him, I wouldn't want to seem desperate.
That's not desperate, that's excited.
Okay.
It's all about language, right? So you can either say I'm nervous or I'm excited. They're the same emotions, and if you get excited, you don't worry about things. But if you're nervous, the anxiety kicks in. Don't worry about what people may or may not think about you. It's not your position to do that. You just do what you think is the best thing to do for you. I remember when I started, the best CV I ever got was a designer. He taped a tea bag to the back of the CV and he said, look, if I'm a terrible designer, I'll make a fantastic cup of tea. And I hired him because it was different and humorous from every other designer, sent me loads of profiles. And he was prepared to do the work, and he worked with me for many, many years. And I think that's the thing. You've got to stand out. You've got to be creative and not be scared. Whatever the job it is you're going to go for, show the attributes of that job. So if you're going to go for a sales job, show that you're prepared to make the calls. You're prepared to put the emails in. You understand their business. You've researched it. You've looked at it. You've thought about, actually, what does this job entail? There's a chapter in the book about the interview. And for me, the interview is the greatest sale, because you'll walk into my business and you'll say, I went to this university and I speak all these languages, and I'm prepared to work really hard, and I was on the hockey team, and I was, I'm a really nice person. People really like me, and I was in the debating society, and I go, great. And all you have to do is say, look, you're not going to have any problems with me. You're going to walk in, I'm going to be first in, I'm going to be last out. Whatever target you set me, I'm going to try and beat it. If you want people who are going to be ambassadors for your business, people who are going to go out there and talk about your business with pride, that's who you're going to get with me. You're going to get somebody who loves what you do. I love all the work that you're doing at XYZ. I love all the stuff you do for charity. I love all these things. And I want to be part of that experience and that environment. And that's why I want to work with you.
So how is it that when you have people on board, you get them to share in this vision that you have? Because you've got a big vision.
I mean, I've got to be loud, and I've got to shout about it, and I've got to be proud about it, and I've got to believe in it. I have to believe in it as much as the person who's the lowest denominator in that business. They have to believe as much as I do. And that takes a lot of work. And you've got to go through a lot of unhappy people. You've got to go for people who don't believe in your vision, who don't share your vision, who don't want to sit on the bus with you. And you've got to get them off and bring on people who do. And I think this is going to be a really exciting time, because there's going to be a load of great people who want to do stuff, who want to be part of that vision, who want to travel, because our wings have been clipped over the last 20 weeks, and everybody just wants to get on a plane and go and see some sights, sounds, smells of different parts of the world.
You have this book I asked you to bring with, the happiness, and did I even pronounce it right? Happiness. Happiness is really important to you. You speak about that a lot in There's No F in Sales, and you also tell the stories of all the different things you've done for motivating your employees and the trips around. I mean, I'll let you give the examples, but you spent a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of investment in many ways on these rewards for sales teams. Why is that? Why is it so important to you? Because there's what many people will do, which is a nice Christmas party, and maybe a summer event, and maybe the occasional drinks or afterworks. But you've taken it to a whole new level. So why? What has driven this for you?
And if you said to me, does it pay off? I think if you looked at the performance,
that's the next question.
If you look at the performance over the last 10 years, probably. But there's no evidence to say that actually it makes any difference. We sent a girl to Hong Kong, and within 5 weeks she left the business. I think she went in her second week or something. So it doesn't always work. And there are other instances where I know that teams have worked so much harder because they wanted to go to Vegas or go shopping in New York.
So you sent her to Hong Kong on holiday?
Sent her for a long weekend to Hong Kong, yeah. We were running this incentive, and it wasn't based just on performance. It was just based on the luck that she was there, and she spanned the wheel, and she won a trip to Hong Kong. So
you don't restrict people to, you have to have completed your fast, this many months, this many sales?
I want everyone to take part. I want everyone to do trips. I want everyone to be part of it. That's why it's been so frustrating over the last 20 weeks, because we haven't been able to have the fun that we always had. And even now, when you came back into the office, and we haven't got the same energy that we had before. So it's going to take time for that to come back. So this started in about 2010, and I was just generally miserable. And there was no reason for me to be miserable. So I went on this happiness journey, and at the end of it, I asked people to put in a book all the things that made them happy during the year. It didn't have to come from work, but it was, if there were things that we did at work that pleased them, put it in. Everyone thought I was crazy and a bit hippie-ish. No one really wanted to participate, and the first book was quite thin. But over the course of the last 8 years, the books have got bigger and thicker, and the adventures have got further and wider. Last year, we sent 2 people on private jets. They had lunch on a private island and came back. We had a team play football at Anfield. We just wanted to make dreams come true. Do things that people didn't believe in their wildest dreams they'd ever achieve.
And a lot of people would, I guess, ask you about what's the return on investment in that? What's my ROI on spending all this money on such abstract and expensive things? What would be your answer to them?
You can't really measure it. I've got performance coaches in every office. I've got sports psychologists in every office. Again, some people have had fantastic performance, others have gone backwards. So I think if you create the right culture and the right environment, good things will happen. So that's my standard answers when we sit at board meetings and they say, you spent £20,000 this month on whatever stupid incentive you've done, when are we going to get payback on that? And I said, you're never going to get payback. It's a long-term investment for the benefit of the business. And, we're talking about it. People have been talking about these things that we're doing for years.
And all the best people want to come and work at Inc.
And better people want to work at Inc. We want to have people who believe what we believe. And, at this time, we've really had to trim back our teams because our products are just not there. And I want to come back in the second half of this year and hire as many people as I can. Anybody who thinks they can add value to our business, we'll hire them. Doesn't matter if they've got a degree, if they've been to Oxford, Cambridge, or they've just come out of a school in, Dulwich. I don't know. Anyway.
So on that topic, you speak about in the book how you didn't go to university originally. You started door-to-door selling at 17, but more recently you went to Harvard Business School, you went to Kellogg's. Now that sort of you a few years later could send yourself. Do you think that was worth it, or?
It taught me that I was looking for affirmation that actually I wasn't just lucky. I sat in Harvard and watched all these guys who were paid for by their big corporations on their phones, tapping away, not really paying much attention. And then we do exercises and, they'd spent 2 hours getting a result that I got in 10 minutes and they go, yes, but let us do all the data and the analysis. Let's look at this properly. And then they come back and go, yeah, you were right. And I was like, okay. It was all about
how do you do it? What is it that you do? Is it gut instinct? Is it?
I don't know. It's there. And, can you train it? Of course you can. It's just repeated by habits over and over and over again. We'll get there. And you guys are starting earlier, much earlier, and you've got so much more resources than I had. I had a tape, not even a CD, a tape that would come. You ordered it was 28 days, and then you could have a little bit of motivation. The information that's available to you today is incredible. You've got so many free courses from some of the best universities in the world. You can do anything you want to do if you put the effort in. And my only frustration with sort of the younger employees is that they're trying to life hack everything. They're trying to find a shortcut for everything. And actually success doesn't have any shortcuts. It's a long repeated behavior. Even the overnight successes have done hours and hours and hours of work that you don't see. And you don't see, when people look at you and they say, oh, you got a nice car or a nice this, they don't see all the pain and the suffering and the phone calls and, the people being unkind to you on social media. They only see the trappings and even that can be on credit. It doesn't prove anything. The only thing you can do is doing the right things on a daily basis. And if you keep doing them over and over again, the results will come.
So if you were to be advising someone perhaps in university or in one of their first jobs and they've got a little bit of time on the side, would you say it's better for them, assuming that the money isn't a factor, is it better for them to start working and start practicing or spend that time on reading and learning and podcasts and online courses?
I'd say all of them, but you need focus. One of the things that when I've talked to anybody who's successful, every time they become semi-successful, they spend time investing in things, doing things which distract them. And if they get distracted, guess what happens? You lose focus. So whatever you're doing, if you dedicate everything to that thing with every ounce of passion, the results will be unbelievable. Now, if you can enhance it by doing courses which are going to make you better, make you more knowledgeable, make you more competent, then do that. But don't have a business here, a business there, and a business here, because all you're doing is you're being busy.
Okay. And in terms of the charity work you've done within the business and on your own, even things down to selling the book for charity, do you think that charity you clearly do think it has a place in business? What sort of a role should charity and business place, if that makes sense?
I think the whole gratitude, giving back, kindness, helping people less well off than you are just part of being a nice human being. And I think if you're a nice human being and you're doing all the right things, then life turns out to be much nicer than it is. And also it helps you reframe when you're feeling sad or you're feeling miserable and you're looking at people in much worse conditions than you think, actually, my life is not so bad. And, people talk about mental health and anxiety and depression so easily. It's like, thrown out there. I don't like the word mental health. I don't believe if it's the right words to describe what people have got. People have emotional well-being issues, and people need to understand they're not mental. They're not actually unhealthy. They're just, their emotions are a mess. And actually, your emotions are the things that hold you back. If your emotions are not in check, you're not going to be able to achieve what you need to achieve.
And then in terms of on a more business side, you speak about when you're selling and you're making people's lives better. It is business at the end of the day. And if I kind of sometimes get the feeling that if I call them up and I say I'm trying to help them, they might just see it as a line, when what I'm trying to do is make money. And I'm more than happy to be honest about it and say, yes, I'm also trying to make money, but I'm trying to help you. I want to do something that will make your business better, that will make the world a better place, whatever it might be. So how do you make sure that doesn't come across, or how do you prove that it's not just a line, just a cliche to try and tick a box, and that it's actually what you're trying to do and actually what you believe in?
Do it with belief. If you feel like that, it's probably because that's how you genuinely feel, and you have that underlying thing that actually, I'm not really trying to help you, I'm just trying to make money. But if you generally go into a business, into a conversation and say, look, I want to help you. If you don't want my help and you don't want to do business with me, it's absolutely fine. If we do business and I make money and you make money, everybody's very happy. But I'm doing it because that's my genuine intention. And if you do everything with a genuine intention, people can see it. People can see the difference between someone who's genuinely interested and somebody who's trying to sell something. LinkedIn is a really good example. You get LinkedIn within 10 minutes, then you get your spiel, and then if you ignore it, that same spiel comes about 6 more times before they get bored and move on to the next person. And I say to people, don't just sell by LinkedIn. Every now and then you're going to get a win. And I've got a really interesting story about how I bought something off LinkedIn. And when I sat down with the guy and I said to him, why did I buy from you? He said, well, I used option A, email, and I sent it to you and you responded and you liked what I had to say. And I said, but why did I buy? And he goes, I said, which email option did I use? And he couldn't remember. So, he wasn't actually targeting that cleverly. I said, why did I buy from you? And he goes, I don't know. Why did you buy from me? I said, because on the day that your email came in, I'd just been refused insurance. So I had to do something in my head. So you were just lucky. Your timing was good, because I get hundreds of these LinkedIn requests every single day. So when people say, I'm annoying somebody, you have to be there at the moment when someone's got a problem. And the bigger the problem, the bigger the deal. If you fix big problems, you make big money. If you fix small problems, you make small money. And that's the thing, is like, find big problems. Don't sit around worrying about small problems, because small problems create small money. Big problems create big money.
Now, I know you do describe yourself as Lucky Leslie in the book, but I know also you don't just believe it's luck, you believe it's hard work and so much more. So apart from being there at the right time, which you won't always know when the right time is, what is the way to go with something like LinkedIn, social selling, email selling? What can you advise people in terms of using these platforms in a constructive sales way?
It's a numbers game, and you have to stand out. You have to do things which are completely different. When you speak to people, they have to remember you. You have to do something and be something that they go, okay, that wasn't just another sales pitch. And it's such a vanilla industry now, because so many people are doing exactly the same things. I see we have a few connections in similar connections. Can we connect? And then you know what's coming next. And it's a bit like, when we phone up and say we've got a last minute opportunity, and people go, yeah, I've heard that before. But sometimes we generally do have last minute opportunities. And right now we've got loads of great deals to do. And people are saying to us, yeah. And I'm saying, look, we're trying to help you recover. We're trying to bring business back. We're not sitting on our hands waiting for things to happen. We're going to make things happen. And that's the same advice I'd give to anyone is, if people are not responding to you, don't just keep sending another email, the same email. And we used to send a picture of a skeleton and say, I've been waiting so long, look at the state of me now. It's something that makes someone laugh, that they go, okay, I've got to speak to this person. Because, all these digital agencies and digital companies now are so prescriptive. And my favourite thing is when someone phones up, I really do tear their sales pitch because I want to go through it, and I want to analyse it. And there've been times when people phoned up on trying to sell me double glazing, and I go, whoa, slow down, phone again, and let's start with a better opening. And this could go on, and you know, my wife was going, "You are crazy." I said, "Look, I'm helping him."
How do you find the time for this?
Because it amuses me, because I love sales. So every negotiation that I go into, even if I go into a coffee shop and someone's not smiling or they're not loving what they're doing, I'm saying to them, why are you doing this? Why are you not doing everything you're doing with that passion and that verve? Because if you don't, then find something which is going to ignite it.
You do tell the story in the book of the time you took the chocolate out of your bag and gave it to a reception, something along these lines, that there was someone not smiling in some hotel somewhere around the world. And you were with someone who told the story in a LinkedIn recommendation. And Simon just turned and he took a chocolate out of his bag, handed it to this reception, and he said to the colleague he was with, "Never accept someone who isn't smiling." I love that. It's that investment in people, that really bringing humanity back to our interactions. I have one more question.
Can I show you? There's this. I wear this armband every day, which says WMYST, which is what made you smile today. And I have a bag full of these, and when I walk into places, I tend to give them out and say to people, you know, what made you smile today? And even that question makes people stop and think and go, you did, or you know, this did. And I think that we need to do it more. We're too happy accepting either mediocre service or mediocre conversations, and we've got to enhance everything we do.
And ultimately, it does. I notice it makes you, when you just feel good, it makes your whole day better. Walking into an office, for example, walking to the office, getting on the tube, it's hot and sweaty. You get out, it's grey, it's rainy. It's different when you get in the door and you have to make that first call compared to when you walk through and it's sunny and, you know, blue skies, and you just feel good, and you've got a glass of fresh orange juice in your hand. You come in and you just feel uplifted, and it makes your working day better. Your calls are better. Your results are better, which makes you happier, and then it's a cycle, and everything works much better. You speak about Inc. as a place you can run your own business, and this is the last thing I want to pick up on. You're kind of talking about, I think it was in the book, about how you give people the responsibility to make their opportunities out of their jobs. So for the person in the job, for someone who's just starting in a new company, what would you tell them? What's the best way for them to approach making it their own and taking advantage of different opportunities?
I think if you go into work and you treat it like it's your own money, your own company, your own profit and loss, because ultimately you're the CEO of your own business. And it doesn't matter what that role is, but if you're a clerk, be the best clerk. If you're a secretary, be the best secretary you possibly can. You know, whatever you get paid for, give a little bit more, do a little bit more. And, you know, I wanted to create an environment where people could run their own business and make as much money as they wanted to make without the risk of having to start your own business. You know, if you look at my journey, it took me 15 years to make any money. And, you know, I have people coming in straight out of school making fantastic incomes because I say, look, there's your opportunity. And other people walk in on the first week and phone Coca-Cola and say, you know, in most organisations that just wouldn't be possible. So wherever you are in whatever organisation you're in, give that little bit extra. Be the person when they're sitting around the board table and they go, Dror was really good this week. He just went beyond what we expect of him. Whatever's in your agreement, that's your job, your roles and responsibilities. Why don't you just add another 10 to that you're going to do that you're not getting paid for? And I promise you will stand out. And people will recognise it. And the people you deal with recognise it. You know, I got headhunted many times because I gave a level of service that people didn't expect. And I think that's the difference. And I'm not clever or smarter or brighter than anybody else, but I'll outwork anybody. And I think that's really important.
When you're willing to put everything you've got in, also I think companies will give you a little bit back more. You get a little bit more leeway. If you have a down week, your company's there for you because they know you put so much extra in. And yeah, definitely it pays off. Also, I found it personally that when there are people who I know, for them it's a job. For them it's £10 an hour to be at an event moving boxes. Whereas for me, this is my business. And for me, this is money I've taken from a customer. And for me, this is my reputation. It becomes very difficult to to rely on people, and finding people who take it that level, that personally, definitely helps. I think often I found it's people who have their own projects, whether they're freelancers or running their own business and they're just working for me on the side. I found that those people who have that level of, they know what it's like themselves, so they put their personal care into it, not just for the job, but because they feel like it's right and they want to give. I definitely appreciate it a lot more from them. I think we're out of time, but thank you very much for coming down. Is there anything else you would want to share? Any advice you would give to people now, current situation, young people looking to make it in sales, sales leaders or more established people who are wondering what the next step is? If you could leave them one line.
I would say the future is still very bright. I think the next book's going to be called There Is an Effing Future, because I think there's still so much opportunity. There's so much money, riches, things that you can achieve, places to see, and don't set your sights small. Aim big, dream big, because everything is possible.
I think right now a lot of people will very much appreciate hearing that, especially from someone such as yourself in the travel industry of all industries. Simon's book, There's No F in Sales, is available on Amazon. You can order it around the world, I believe. It's £10 and all profits go to charity. It's a really great book. I definitely advise it. And I'm not just saying that. You'll see it on my shelf over there. Is my own copy, which maybe I'll get signed afterwards. Simon, have a great day. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
I'm really excited to be sharing the news of my new book launch. This book is coming to you via Amazon in September 2020. It's called They're Not Coming to You Yet, and it's all about marketing. But not a book about marketing for marketers, not a technical book, not a book about marketing for Silicon Valley startups or, tech startups who are already doing loads of marketing. This is a book about marketing for businesses who don't do marketing, businesses who don't know how to do marketing, businesses who would think, marketing doesn't work for us, it doesn't work in our industry, we don't need marketing. We've tried marketing and we spent loads of money on it, but it just didn't deliver results. So what I do in the first section is explain the marketing foundations, how I would go about setting up marketing for any business, no matter what it is you do. I talk about brand messaging and positioning. I talk about your product market fit. I talk about setting up websites. Then I move on to different ideas which will apply to different businesses. Some of them will apply to you, some of them won't, but they should all get you thinking about different marketing channels and campaigns. Get you thinking, how can we go out and find our customers? Because there is no one at home thinking, I want to go and give this person my money. They're not coming to you yet. You've got to go out and get them. And that is what this book is all about. So it's a £10 book, which you can buy on Amazon from September 2020. And you know what? Read this 150 pages before you go out and spend thousands of pounds on marketing. And maybe it will help you do it a little bit better. For more, you can learn about this book. Head to drorwayne.com/book. And I would really love to be able to help you with your marketing through such a simple tool as a £10 book.